Hello everyone, can you hear me? Sound check, sound check. Sounds fine. All right, so we got another stream. Hope you're all doing good today. Winter is coming, getting close, colder and colder. And I have some exciting news to update everyone with today. We had an awesome PTR last week, which is very important to get in place to make sure that we have, no big surprises or major issues. And the main purpose of this PTR was obviously to make sure overall performance, overall stability, and so on was covered in a wide amount of computer setups. I mean, everyone have different specs, hardware, right? And we want to make sure we have a good coverage of a lot of different specs. Rise of Brisbane, thank you very much for the Prime. Appreciate it. 3 months. So I have some exciting news to share with you thanks to the PTR. So we are very happy to have your support joining in on PTR, because it's very important for us to get a wider view of the status and how everything works and runs. So 2 of the big things that we concluded out of the PTR was a little bit of older generation hardware scaled worse, especially compared to Unreal 4. And we also had around 10% that got stuck on loading times before being able to enter the game. We have, thanks to you, we have the data and been able to work and solve those 2 major areas. So a lot of work have already been done on our latest build, which very much helped when it comes to overall performance, the base cost. And I'm actually going to show you some of that progression in this stream. We have some older specs. We have a 6-year-old computer that we did a test on in Unreal 4 on live server, and on the exact same location in our latest build where we have highly improved the performance. Just to show you the progression where we're standing right now. And I think you will see it's quite impressive, especially to be on Lumen's Unreal Engine 5. If you go to Epic Games website and read about Unreal Engine 5, what the specs and target are for those kind of next generation technologies, it's quite surprising how, where they put the bar. Cinematic settings are now used for cinematics settings, as in movies and such. So it's not meant to be gaming at all. So we had to work on those scaling system to fit the game better. Epic is the highest when you have a powerful computer and want to enjoy all the whistles and bells. And then it scales down more efficiently to medium and lower settings. So we're gonna show you a little video of some of that progression as well. So we're going through the final data that we collected from PTR. We're going to release an update tomorrow with some of the details around all of this, and also revealing our setup when it comes to releasing on Epic Games and deploying on Steam as well. So we're going to have more details and news regarding that tomorrow as well. So yeah, again, thank you everyone that participating in the PTR. Incredible important to have that test, quick efficient test, just to get a much better view and everything. And yeah, we had several areas where you fall through the world. Obviously we have fixed those as well. So we do wish to follow up on a quick test just to confirm and show you all the progression of all that, and also to allow you to confirm those being fixed, so we're in a good state as possible. Yes, so we worked on some of the DX12 issues. We identified that as well. Again, thanks to you guys. So a very high value in running a PTR. That's why we are planning to follow up quickly on a quick short PTR, just also to make sure that those things that we have confirmed being fixed, we want to make sure that you also can confirm them. That's when we really know for sure, right? So yeah, more detailed information regarding the release phase and the steps. Now we finally have the necessary data we needed to know where does Unreal 5 stand in terms of a more wider group of hardware specs rather than just internally and a QA team. So that was important. TT Dogs, thank you very much for the subscription. Hello. We're gonna update you exactly when it comes to the follow-up PTR we want to run, just to make sure. PTR horrible performance on high-end PCs. No, I have a high-end PC which I showed in my previous stream, and I actually have a lot more better FPS than in Unreal 4. So it scales much more efficiently on higher specs, but there are several components that may give different results. And that was one of the purpose of the PTR, to capture the wider scale of why do some specs have lower worse scaling, and also where we wanted to see the base cost for a majority of the players, also on lower end specs and medium specs. And that's where a lot of hard work have been instantly went into just after the PTR. So that was the purpose, to identify where does it not run well, where are there major issues, and why 10% couldn't even log into the game. Obviously very bad things that we need to be, have under control, right, before we actually get to the next step. I'm sharing my results. I have high-end PC 4090i. So that's the same specs that I'm running on this computer, which means you should also get similar specs of this, right? And if you're getting 30 FPS with those kind of specs, then something is extremely wrong. I mean, you showed me stream live last week, right? And when I'm streaming, I also lose 30 FPS, but even though I always was quite, stable on FPS. So that is what we're following up with. So we're very interested in having you back, obviously, on the next PTR, just to confirm and see where the performance is standing right now. So that was, again, the purpose of the PTR, to find those issues rather than having it in a release, right? Yeah, and you're not going from 100 FPS to 20 FPS anymore. That's what I'm saying, right? And that's what you're gonna be able to confirm on the next PTR. Like I said, I have a little video case where we tested this live and on PTR. So we're actually comparing what you're playing on live in Unreal 4 with the latest build in Unreal 5 that is quite heavily optimized compared to the PTR build. And obviously that's the build you're also going to be able to confirm your current performance. So bear with us to see those changes. I know it feels shocking if someone goes straight down in performance when you shouldn't. Obviously that's was the purpose, right? We want to identify those things. There's so many components, out of date drivers, different types of CPU and GPUs, endless amount of combinations, and then the settings, how they affect the different hardware. So all these hundreds of combinations give you different results. It's that simple. And with the PTR, we could identify that wider scale of how it runs and how it works. And we can very quickly identify here it's unacceptable in terms of performance. And here are some other issues. And that's what we've been working on since the PTR. So again, we are very happy if you are, able to join in on the follow-up PTR just to confirm this progression so it works on the wider scale. So yeah, we worked hard on the scaling setup and further optimization, and especially on medium spec computers. There's also this line, where, you may have seen other news games coming out on Unreal 5 where they, they have to choose, do we want to support this and that, and how do we handle the next generation technology. And some of it does rely on newer generation of hardware in different steps. But we want to make sure that performance is solid and good. And even though we are stepping towards next generation technology, we still want to be able to scale quite hard, right? What game content is coming with Unreal 5? So with the Unreal 5, you also get the new task system. Obviously already seen the red murder criminal system updates in the latest PTR. The wilderness zones supported also, which means, you know, nothing goes in those areas in terms of murder count and so on. Updated bounty hunting and updated more content for the task systems. So one of the big things we also focusing on now is a lot of TC fixes. You saw a lot of that also in PTR, but maybe it wasn't the main focus for that PTR, right? So people didn't really experiment with all of that in TC. But a lot of important balance fixes and tweaks to TC, and a lot of polish and bug fixing is a main focus now to make sure that Unreal 5 patch brings a lot of good polish and quality of life updates to the game. So we don't want to crunch in and stress in a lot of new content and features to risk stability and the entire step of Unreal Engine 5. I know that a lot of you guys would prefer to not even touch new content and just make sure everything we have is solid, polished, and runs well. So that's one of the main focus. We want to have that core base behind Unreal Engine 5 transition to be stable and good and enjoyable. After that, we're going to present you the upcoming roadmap with, you know, going back to more focus on obviously new exciting content and features, which you're also going to be a little bit be able to participate in when it comes to what order of these things should go into the game. So that's something we're going to follow up on quite shortly as well. So the task system, just in short, as I mentioned before, there's a huge noticeable drop-off for new players when they leave Haven. That depends heavily on where they start and what they decide to do. A lot of people coming from more traditional MMOs are not used to be in an open sandbox, free to do whatever you want, right? So if they don't have a guild or friends, they may stand there and ask, what the hell do I do next? And even ask it in the help channel. And then some nice veterans response, well, what do you want to do? Make your own quests and stories. And that may be a challenge for a lot of new players that are not used to it, right? So to push them in the right direction, we have the updated task system that allows them to pretty much do work for the different nations. And there are different orientation and categories of what type of work you will be able to do. We're starting with a small set that is quite the basic when it comes to combat and such, which most people are picking in that direction. And this is quite a deep expanded system where you can start taking these tasks to, for instance, find a specific creature or mob to kill and bring back the evidence of that to be able to expand standings, a specific task standings, and specific coins similar to the bond system, which we also expanded on, which means you will slowly go up in rank and progression in these areas, a little bit similar to RuneScape, even Online when it comes to missions there. So you feel quite familiar with some of those things. And obviously we want to make sure there are some starting nice rewards in these areas from bounty hunting to these tasks, which means we have created new types of capes, which looks really awesome. You're going to be able to see them soon, which is some of the rewards here as well. So, and that list is also something we can expand on moving forward. So that is in short the task system. We actually want you to help us test some of this also in the next PTR. So you will actually be able to try it out a little bit for yourself and get a feel for it. And again, obviously valuable feedback and input based on that is always valuable if there's something that seems way off or something. We want to make sure that it's foolproof initially, right? You can't fail. So any noob can start getting the first steps, and getting familiar with that and have one way to progress the character, making some money and skill experience. And then obviously quickly you can go very deep in this system where it becomes a huge challenge. You may need a team to finish them together to be able to get the rewards. So it's both for new players, but also I would say veterans can play around with this system to try to tag into those new epic capes that we know that you enjoy farming in different ways or discovering. Yeah, so there are different tiers of bounty hunting. We added a few functions to it, so you can team up with your friends. You can do team bounties, and we also a lot based on the feedback that you gave us. We want to make sure that there's a more frequent flow when it comes to doing bounty hunting for those interested in that. So you have a shorter range, and you can go up in tiers. So there's some difficulties in terms of how bad this bounty is compared to a more casual murder. So there are some nice steps and options there as well that will make bounty hunting much more enjoyable and less downtime, I would say, across the world. And then you have to wait for a new one if you don't want to take that one. So there are some really good improvements to the bounty hunting system. Currently, you can only sign up with one friend, if I'm not mistaken. I've been a little bit out of the loop and been all over the place in different areas when it comes to the development here. So I have to confirm. But to my knowledge, you can sign up a friend that will participate with the bounty as well. No, there's some option when it comes to that. You can't pick exactly what murder you're looking for. There's a system behind that kind of widen the spectrum as well, just to make sure that you always have a bounty available, even though the specs are not 100% specified, if that makes sense. Kind of like when you're setting off a ladder match in StarCraft, right? It widens the match, you know what I mean, right? After our final reports of the PTR and conclusion that we plan to have tomorrow, actually, we will be able to reveal the more detailed setup for release date, PTR, and those very important things finally. So that's gonna be plan is for that tomorrow. Something that's been a little bit of the topic, I think we discussed a little bit previous stream as well. There are different types of murder, right? Different types of bounty hunters, different types of PvP players in the game. Should there be a one-time option to reset the murder counts for those that seems, I didn't fully sign up for this and I wouldn't know the rules would change? Or shouldn't there be, I know there's two camps, right? We don't like to change rules that affect all this because of this very reason, right? Some may be affected in a negative way, some may be happy for it, right? And I think that's what's going to be represented in some of the response here as well. Yes, no, 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 no. Yes, no, no, no. Yeah. So that's some of those questions, right? Seems like most in here are voting for the no option. You can delete your character if you want to reset. That's true. Also, that's true. Nobody cares really. Stay, and I think a lot of people cares, as you can see in here. It all depends on your preferences. Some things, some people may not care at all, while someone really cares, and that's the beauty of a game like this. It has something to offer for everyone, and you may care or not care in some of the fields, right? And that just makes sense how it is. Depends on how many murder counts you got over 100. No. Yeah. Seems like most in here is actually on the no camp side. Just as with this little feedback. Seems like it's more on the nay side at least. At what point will you be addressing existing bugs? So exactly, that's one of the points that I mentioned. So instead of trying to crunch in more content and feature, which obviously we all would like to have and love to have as in these patches as well as fast as possible, we want to make sure that the majority fields finally, all those bugs are being dealt with, and you know, I don't get a negative experience anymore when I'm playing a game on a daily basis. We want to make sure that the majority can agree to that term, and that kind of makes sense, right? When we are actually approaching the proper release and where we plan to enable subscription, we want to make sure that the stability, polish, and quality level is at an acceptable place where people, you know, don't feel that their entire gameplay session gets broken by bugs. So we actually gonna make sure that you're gonna see that as well in the notes, that one of the main focus is actually bugs and quality, rather than trying to add another feature as well along with Unreal 5. I mean, there's some huge system, like I said, the tax system, the bounty system being expanded on, a lot of TC balance and fixes. Along with that, an entire engine update and huge optimization task is huge points, right? That's something that's not a small step, especially the engine update. So I think most will agree and understand why stability and bug fixing being a big focus along with this patch is important, rather than trying to add a few more features, which will be the main focus moving forward, right? That's the plan and good thing. With that stability in place, with the proper next-gen engine in place, we have a very solid core foundation, and then we can finally start over time add new and exciting features and content. Do you want to see the little video that we just recorded just to show you some of the performance progression? This is the specs on this computer is 7700, 1080 graphic card, 16 gigabytes of RAM. So it's about 6 years old, generation-wise, which is in the lower spectrum, right, for a game like this. So let me show you the comparisons. So we did in the exact same location, same settings, and the settings is actually on Epic, 1440p. You know, so it's not on the lowest and such. We did a recording exactly in TinRem on live, and on the exact same specs, same location on our latest PTR on Unreal 5 build. And this is, let me show you guys. This is how that looks currently. So right side is Unreal 5, left side is Unreal 4 Live. So as you can see, a pretty nice improvement in Unreal 5 on those specs that I mentioned. So that is a 6-year-old computer. So the visuals obviously looks better. You see lumens in real time, and you know, peaking 100 FPS there, 105. So there's absolutely a gain now in the current build, and we obviously want to make sure that all of you guys also can confirm that from the last Unreal 5 build, you will see a performance difference on this later build. So it shows that we have managed to achieve much better results now on lower end hardware specs. I think we're also using TSR 58, I think, in Unreal 5 on the right side. That could add some of the soft. You see it's more pixelated on the Unreal 4 one, and it's much more soft on the Unreal 5 version. But it shows that still running on Epic on most of the settings, 1440p, you can gain better performance actually in the latest build on Unreal Engine 5. And this is with Lumens. Lumens is very expensive as a base cost. And our developers have optimized the crap out of the system to make sure that also older specs will run good on Unreal 5 transition. We noticed a lot of specific setups that was struggling with performance in the latest PTR, and when that was identified, we had several our talent technical artists just crunching through the performance and scaling to make this possible. So we're very eager to see you guys get your hands of this next build, and hopefully we'll be able to confirm that, you know, we're in a pretty good position when it comes to the base cost performance. The left one is Unreal 4, the right one is Unreal 5. There are some settings that are not available in Unreal 4. You see it's more pixelated and it flickers depending on the pixels, while the right one is more soft. There's some differences there as well. But obviously you can change those settings on your own end as well, anti-aliasing, different TSR, DLSS, and so on. Those will change that kind of visuals. Yes, we have the latest DLSS version in this build also. We may be able to soon also support frame generation. We don't have it as an option yet, and also because it only works on 40 series card, NVIDIA card, so it's a little bit restricted when it comes to who can use it, right? Yeah, it's using TSR, one of the TSR settings on the right side. So again, it's some of the preferences depending on if you want more sharpness, more softness. There's some options for that, and that's obviously also depending on personal opinions, right? Do you want it more pixelated or more soft? Stuff like that. Plans look better in Unreal 4 though. I mean, the scene has the same assets other than the materials and shaders, etc. have been reworked, and that we have lumens available in Unreal 5. Lumens, we also made sure that lumens scales incredibly hard. So if you're on Epic, lumens have more bouncing and points when it comes to creating realistic lighting and shadows. And if you scale down, you will see less of these details. But it also, obviously, it comes at a cost, right? So we want to have that scalability for people so you can find a sweet spot, what's needed for your computer, right? But like I said, this is on a 6-year-old computer. So obviously it's tough, right? We're seeing some games in the production now that set the bar very high. They don't want to even support 10 series card anymore. They want to force everyone to be at a minimum 20 series card. That transition is happening, and also a lot due to Unreal 5. Developers want to create awesome games with the Unreal 5 technology, but some of that doesn't work well on older generation of hardware. So some of them is actually locking out hardware as we speak. We don't want to lock out 10 series card. We know a lot of people use them, but at the same time, there will be an obvious performance difference, right? From a 10 series card to a later generation. That's just natural. Same goes for CPU, right? So yeah, this is obviously exciting until we saw that we actually bypassed Unreal 4 in this scene on a older computer, which we didn't on a PTR build. It was quite worse. So yeah, we want you to confirm as well with all the different hardware setups in the next PTR. I mean, from 70 to 80, 90, 20 FPS in average, 15, 20. That's impressive. If you look at the Lumens Unreal 5 specs on Epic Games website, cinematics is only for movies. Epic is targeted on next generation consoles to be 30 FPS on all of their games, and high is targeted to be 60 FPS next generation consoles, and low medium is like 80 FPS. So running at 100 FPS here with lumens on some of the Epic settings for 1440p, it's pretty good as a base cost. Yeah, Cosmos, as I mentioned, there are some different TSR options that you can play around with. If you want more pixelated and it flickers, as you can see on the left side, or more soft, blurrish, depending on those settings. That's up to you and your hardware and where you want to push it, right? So tomorrow we should be able to give you the updates when it comes to dates, when you will be able to test the next PTR to confirm all these things we've been working on when it comes to performance. We also have, like I said, the 10% that couldn't even log in, a very, very odd identified problem. And again, thanks to you guys for finding that, so we could solve that, so we can make sure that everyone can log in, including some older hardware that used the X12 couldn't enter the game or play the game at all without the crash due to some specific how we use some of the files, which we also fixed. So this next build should work hopefully for everyone. Big question is, where will the performance land for all the different hardwares? And the other point that we say that is very important is, if you remember when I was streaming live last build as well, I showed you that the level streaming stutters are gone, right? And there's a bug in the level streaming system that Epic Games have built, that when we went back and forth in specific locations, the world collision wouldn't load and you would fall through the world. And we had to enable that back to make sure that we can debug it and also make sure you don't fall through the world during that PTR. But it brought back some of the level streaming stutters, freezes. Obviously we're gonna fix that and also again make sure that you experience that, a smooth transition in the world without freezing the computer that you do on live build currently. You know, when you're running over level streamings and have this annoying freeze from 1 second to up to 3 seconds at worst. That is one of the things we're eliminating as well, or completely minimizing. So yeah, a lot of important updates have already happened thanks to the PTR, which we want to confirm very shortly, and we will update you regarding that. Yeah, I mean, Lumens is a very lifelike simulation of how sun and shadows behave and how colors etc. are bouncing around. So you see a different tone on colors in Unreal 5 because everything reacts more like it would in real life. So that's one of the big tasks we had to do. In Unreal 4 you have to fake all the lights, fake all the reflections and the tones to mimic a fake, realistic, believable, nice looking worlds, right? But now everything emits their own colors and tone and lighting bounce around. So everything just naturally do that on its own. So that's also why you see a lot of differences in the tone of how warm or cold it is, depending on sun and how everything reflects and behaves. And we are quite close, I would say, to be in a final state where everything is extremely realistic in a good place. And again, performance is always important, so that's have been the main focus. But obviously we want to make sure that it looks nice and believable. And in most areas it's very easy to see that it just looks so much better, much more realistic, because Lumens is quite magic when it comes to putting that next level of realism on the things. And I mean, in this shot there's nothing that are strongly showing the strength of Lumens, just a raw shot to show you. Everyone knows TNREM don't have the best performance, right? But we want to show in Unreal 5 in the same settings as a baseline that you can crank out of more FPS out of it depending on your settings. And this is on a 6-year-old computer, like I said. So if you have a even newer generation of hardware, you can expect even better, right? And again, scaling is better in Unreal 5. compared to Unreal 4. Our characters cost less than in Unreal 4, so one character costs a little bit less on the screen, so it scales a little bit better. And that's also something we're working on still to push as far as we can. So there's so many different settings when it comes to, some people like the more soft blurriness feel, some people like the flickering pixelated. That's completely, you know, personal opinions, right? And you're in control of that depending on the settings. I mean, Epic Games have delivered a really awesome engine, but it's still early on. There aren't many games out there, and they have rewritten a lot of areas that may not be fully up to date and fully optimized and not, you know, fully fleshed out for a large game like Mortal Online. So we are actually rebuilding some components here that we were hoping that Epic would have in a very polished state. But we can't just sit and wait until we don't know, right? So we actually had to rewrite some of these components to make sure that the world behaves as we want it, rather than wait infinitely until Epic may or may not have fully finished it. One of the challenges that many developers have to do depending on their game type as well, right? I mean, Epic is focusing quite hard on cinematics and movie production and stuff, so a lot of cool things have happened there, but that's not at all beneficial for games where you want performance as well in real time. But you know, it's nicely coming in that nice place. A lot of cool stuff, and one of the big things, obviously, having a next generation core foundation that eliminates a lot of restriction that we have had and had to struggle with and kind of hit the roof on, is more or less removed and open up to be better for the future as well. Granite ropes. I can't walk on them, eh? I have to take a little note there. Yeah, you know, the whole world have gone a lot of hard work from all the artists. It's been a giant task. So that's why we wanted to get some of your help to do whatever you can find in PTR. And that's when we found holes in collisions falling through the world, ropes lacking collision in Kranish. Good points, because it obviously completely changed the gameplay, right? So we want to try to have them covered all, and it's extremely helpful when you find them for us, because you know it's easy to miss some of those things in the world. Will development be more efficient on UE5? So in many cases, yes. Why are you lying? What the hell are you talking about? I never lie. I state facts. That's all. If it's too difficult to understand the facts, this may not be the place. So one of the challenges that we had the past months is that we had to work in two different branches, Unreal 4 and Unreal 5. And that's been extremely painful and slowing down. And it also gives room for a lot of mistakes, because we can't have the same code functions in both branches because it's two different engines. So yeah, having one branch only on Unreal Engine 5 and also many improved areas and systems is very enjoyable for the team to be able to focus on that alone and just throw out Unreal Engine 4. So I would say it's going to be a little bit more efficiently, yes, and a lot easier for us to deploy a patch and have a controlled patch. I'm not sure if we're gonna need more than our follow-up PTR that we have planned for very shortly now, just to let you guys confirm that everyone can log in, everyone can play, everyone should have better performance, and you know, making sure that core foundation is set. If we find anything that doesn't seem to work, then obviously we're gonna very quickly follow up on that if needed. You never saw the name Porto Majora on the gates. We will have dates tomorrow. We're going through some important things now that will allow us to finally get those important dates tomorrow. Interless, yes, that's exactly what I'm showing here. So one of the big things we got collected was on specific hardware setup, especially older generations, got a big hit in baseline performance. And this video shows you a 6-year-old computer, 7700, 1080, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and we are surpassing live. Left side is Unreal 4 live performance in TeamRAM, and right is Unreal 5 latest build with lumens. And even with lumens on, we're surpassing Unreal 4 performance. And if you are in close contact with any developer in the world that have been working with lumens on Unreal Engine 5, this is impressive. This is quite impressive. Many developers just cut old generation hardware as a minimum requirements. But we want to make sure that as many as possible with older generation can still play the game. But obviously we'll have some settings to play around with to make it playable rather than can't play at all. Yeah, the error when you can't log in, you mean that Brave White Wolf? We have, thanks to you as well, identified why that was. It was a very strange function why it happened. But again, thanks to you guys helping us identifying that, we have it fixed. And that's what we want to confirm. So we're going to follow up on a quick PTR very shortly. So you that couldn't log in at all, got stuck on 98, 99%, should be able to log in finally at all times. So again, a very valuable find thanks to you. This is on a 1080 card. A CPU from 6 years old generation. So, but yeah, I mean, 100 FPS in TeamRAM with lumens in Unreal 5. That's good. That's good. If you are familiar with lumens on Unreal 5 and try to do a sophisticated, complex scene like this in an MMO, there's a big hit on the performance. So our team have been working very, very hard to crank every single FPS out of the engine in its current state without having to sacrifice old, cut a hard draw line on older generation. We do want to support them as much as possible, obviously, right? Empty server is lighter, yeah, but both sides have this exact same cost. So we're comparing the same thing to give you a fair comparison in straight FPS. And as you can see, we're about almost 20-ish FPS above non-lumen on Unreal Engine 4. So it shows that obviously there's been great progression when it comes to the baseline performance. I can't believe you guys got lumens working on 10 series cards. Crazy, good work. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. If you have any relationship with other developers or insight in how it works, it's on the edge of being magic again. I'm very proud of our team that are going great length and being very creative in making sure that it works very well on lumens. And lumens are not cheap as a base cost, I can tell you that. Yeah, we don't have TSR on Unreal 4. Depending on the settings, it can obviously look a little bit sharper, better, or more blurry and not as sharp. It all depends on personal preferences, but also obviously what is your acceptable level when it comes to FPS. That's why we want to give it a wider spectrum of, you can modify the game to be playing quite well on all the performance, because that's what's one of the complaints from players with a little bit older specs. It was too big of a hit on the baseline cost, and we started to work on that. I mean, one of the magic behind TSR, DLSS, FSR, the technology is to upscale art without sacrificing the looks, but also allowing so less polygons on a higher resolution is calculated, so you don't drop that performance. So you can play on high resolution or a normal resolution and still have AI scaled visuals that looks awesome, in some cases even better, depending on what it's displaying, and just give you additional performance. So it's cool tech that I've refined in a very far way that just gives you more fuel, especially on older hardware as well, right? No, so I can't display any settings, but I can tell you, what it is, right? Everything is on Epic, except shadows is on Medium, I think, and it's the exact same settings on both. The only difference is that we use TSR on right version. We can't do that on left. Unreal 4 because it's not supported there. But yeah, same resolution and settings next to that. I think it's 58 TSR and it's 1440p resolution. What kind was missing for the last PTR? So the task systems and all of that haven't been deployed in the previous PTR. So there's one flag for murders, red, that are permanently red now. You can always identify them, including in cities. The murders have a dark red, I think, brownish. So you can differentiate them both. White balance looks wrong in UE5. So that is the sun. So as I mentioned before, lumens enable so many functions that allow colors and materials to bounce off. And if there's a red cloth, like you see to the left, it emits a little bit of a reddish tone next to it. It bounces just like real life. The sun goes in, it bounces around lit up areas, and the shadows get stronger and stronger the closer to a corner you get. It's extremely realistic. It's like ray tracing real time. That is lumens, right? It's the pure magic of getting closer to real life simulation of how lights and shadow works. Extremely realistic. And when you are in some locations and rooms, you see that strength. Look at the roof, under the roof, these plateaus to the left. You see the shadow is extremely more realistic and behaves more realistically than the left side that doesn't have any of those calculations whatsoever. The white balance being off, this is settings to be a very realistic sun in a specific time of day that gives this warm color. So I wouldn't say the white is off, it's just that how real life bounces colors in a better way compared to Unreal 4 that doesn't do that at all. You're used to that, it's very bright things to the left, but it's always been fake. Now it's much more realistic, but I mean, sure, there's always room for tweaking specific tones, but we are starting with a very lifelike base setting. We want it to be believable and realistic, and then we go from there on. The new tasks just be fetched. There will be different types of tasks. We're starting with our baseline, the common one that most people are picking, which is combat-based tasks. And then we plan to deploy more and more over time, like fishing, specific crafting, or stuff like that. So we, over time, cover all kind of features, not only combat. Yeah, I saw some really spectacular screenshots. What is the name again of this guy that makes the most awesome screenshots I've seen on Mortal Online? What is his name, guys? Is he in here in the stream? He just managed to bring some purely magical picture from the PTR. I was looking forward to them because I knew that he was gonna. It is forgiven, exactly. He have an eye and talent, absolutely, for taking awesome screenshots. I really much enjoy watching the screenshots section every now and then. And yeah, there were some really epic ones from you guys being shared with the community, so that's awesome to see. Um, indeed, indeed. I took a few. Yeah, I glanced through them. We do enjoy seeing the different pictures, and sometimes they're so awesome that we wanna put them on our website and share them with more people as well. That's awesome. I haven't played MO2 in like 5 months except quick logins. UE5 looks so drastically different and beautiful to me. Yeah, I mean, Nanites really stands out in specific areas where it does its absolutely most magic. Then yeah, it's breathtaking. It's such a huge leap. You know, ray tracing real-time games have always been the big dream, right? To make it look very realistic. That's pretty much what Lumens is, right? Where is Squirrely? Good question. I see him every now and then jump in and do some fishing. But yeah, it was a little while ago I saw him. I'm not sure. We will announce the dates hopefully tomorrow, said Crow. Oh, thank you, Brave White Wolf. How kind. Yeah, obviously 120 Hz monitors are preferable over 60, but you know, everyone isn't that lucky, right? Is Lumens ray tracing? I mean, it's kind of the same simulation close to what that is, and also what is close to a real light entering a room and how it behaves, and in corners, how shadow, you know, appear. A light and an object that bounces, the light bounces around, and depending on what material and color it has, it also gives that color. I mean, you can see that in our game as well. If you're close to something that have a very strong color, that have lights hitting it, it does bounce back on the environment with that color. A subtle little thing, but that's how real life works also. It's just that it's a subtle thing that you're just used to see. And you see some of these components with lumens that makes it extremely realistic. You know, there's amount of points where light bounces in an area. Obviously, the more of these points and how many times it can bounce, the more expensive it is. And this is where we worked a lot to make sure it still looks good, but doesn't kill the performance on a gamer computer, right? And it scales obviously also with the settings. Thank you, Smeezer Cop. I could log in my build as well to show you that, but you know, some of you guys would say, well, that's on a NASA computer, so it's fake, right? That's why I wanted to show this on an older computer, like I said, a 6-year-old computer, to actually show we've done a lot of progression in the baseline performance. This is on a 6-year-old computer, and left side is only 4, right side is only 5, and only 5 has lumens running, and that is very good to be on that older hardware and still perform better than on Real 4, as you can see here. So I wanted to show you all the specs as well. I mean, everyone isn't running on a 13,900K computer with 4090 cards, right? Those are quite expensive. So the majority is obviously in a lower spectrum, and we want to make sure that that works well. We do have some variation obviously in the office to make sure that we can try things on all kind of hardware. But you know, the world out there, all the players, they have thousands of combination of hardware setup, and some things just acts differently. That's one of the challenge with making a complex game like this, especially MMO, when there's so many components. You know, imagine comparing that with a single player console game where everything is so strictly scripted and isolated. You can calculate every single frame and component and time when you play the game, what the performance cost gonna be. You can never do anything of that in a open game like this, especially adding MMORPG to it. So yeah, it's a challenge, and obviously that there's always gonna be you know, pros, cons, and costs tied to that, right? But we're very passionate about this, and this is what we like doing. And I'm very proud of the team, how far we reached today. And it's gonna be exciting to see you guys get your hands on this latest build of Unreal 5. And hopefully you will be happy with the progression we managed to do. Yeah, I could, like I said, I could jump in, I guess, also a little bit. I lose about 35 FPS when I stream. I was quite surprised that running OBS takes quite a hit on playing games. I don't know if I have bad settings that steals unnecessary a lot from my hardware though. Like I said, I'm not a pro streamer. I mean, obviously it would be best to have a rendering card computer, right, for the stream parts. But I don't have anything like that set up. Yeah, there have been a lot of cleanup and optimization work in the entire team room. That's why you can see some small differences over here in this scene as well. But as you can see, the shadow on the walls there, everything is just better and nicer in Unreal 5. And not only visuals, like, I mean, naturally it would actually be the opposite. The left FPS should be on the right because everything is better looking. We have more expensive technology running, and this is on an old computer. But our team has managed to reverse the performance costs and keeping the visual bonuses in Unreal 5. And I wanna praise them for that, because as I mentioned, if you play around with Lumens on Unreal 5, you're gonna see that performance is a challenge. Absolutely. Yeah, I have about 35 FPS less when playing Mortal Online with OBS running. I don't know if I have any messed up settings or... but it does take a little bit. Where the hell is my Steam? I was reverse getting like 35 FPS in Teen Room. So that was an old PTR build, you mean, on Unreal 5. I don't know why he got 35, I don't know what specs he have. But in this latest build, the next build, you should absolutely see improvements. Because we have done a lot of hard optimization. So yeah, 60 to 80, 90. It's good. It's good. Unreal 4 versus Unreal 5. Should be the opposite with those technology running, but the team managed to reverse the costs in both the visuals and the performance. Magic. Magic. Just gonna see where I am here. If we have a build running. We seem to do have a build running. Real says 39K, 30. So he have pretty much like me, so he should have the same FPS that I do have now. I have the same CPU. I'm in for Burnham, eh? So I just jumped in one of the builds. I don't know what we have on this build at all. Let's see what we have running. TSR 100. So TSR 100 adds sharpness. I like the details there. It costs a little bit more, obviously, with 100%. Everything is on Epic. Yeah, we got something missing here. That's for sure. Yeah, this build isn't ready for display. yeah, so we noticed some of the textures being shared in a very bad way, and workbenches was also one of the things that needed rework, and it looks like those workbenches are missing. So not the best build. Yeah, this is straight in our internal office build when we test things, so this can happen every now and then. So not the best. This usually isn't the case, but yeah, we usually have a specific build ready and approved if I am to run in and show something. But yeah, some of the textures seems to be bye-bye. Yeah, maybe I did a mistake. I didn't check with the team if this build I could log into it. But you know, as always, we try to be as transparent as possible, so I just jumped in to take a quick look to see where we are. But Fabanum is getting a little rework, that's for sure, as we can see here. Yeah, I'm running on 1080, so I can see the screen at the same time. On the recordings that I show you was on 1440. But when I'm scaling, I don't get a difference really in FPS when I do it here. But yeah, I mean, I just love lumens. Just adds a nice level of depth on everything. You see the shadow, it gets darker and darker to corners. It's just lovely, just lovely. Hey! What is best character build in the game? I couldn't answer that one. It depends completely on how you want to play the game, how you want to fight, or whatever you want to do in the game, right? That's the beauty of a sandbox game like this. This looks completely different. What's going on here? They look so crispy. Very crispy. But yeah, I just love lumens. The new lighting is so crisp and natural and much more realistic. Crips. Roses are crips. We have the latest DLSS, but no option yet for frame generation. We may get it. I don't know how much work it is to add it. We were able to run it, but since you're required to have a 40 series card, I don't know how many players would actually, you know, be able to benefit from it. So that's why we put it lower in prioritized order of things when it comes to working on optimization and adding support. But sooner or later, we'll most likely have frame generation support. I don't know how many have a 40 series card. I'm curious. Let me do a quick little vote. Vote, guys. 2 minutes. Let's take a look how it looks in the chat. Click on the votes. I was curious to see. We have some really cool stats from Steam. You can see everyone that logged into the game, what kind of specs they have. Obviously, that gives us a very good indication of what does the majority use, right? That's why we're aiming for lower specs, even though Unreal 5 screams to hell when we're talking about the 10 generation cards. If you're stuck on a 10 card today, it's time to upgrade, guys. The years of old graphics is gone. It's time to move on to a little bit later generation. The 40 generation is awesome. Also is required for frame generation support. But obviously the 40 series card are quite expensive still. But you can always go down in 4060. I don't know what it costs today, but they're getting acceptable, I think, in price. It's only the 49 that is crazy pricey. So the 30 series to be the sweet spot in here, quite in lead. So pretty decent, you know, year on that. But yeah, decent spread on 10 series still, a little bit 20, and quite a few 40 series card actually. So that's nice to see, because that's obviously when we can utilize some of the tech even better, scale better, and also a requirement for frame generation. AMD, yeah, of course we also have the AMD users, right? Of course not. I'm not shaming anyone who can afford anything like this, right? It's absolutely not. Just saying, how old is the 10 generation card? When did it release? 2014. So yeah, they have a few years on the neck. And I mean, just going up to a 3060 card, they're not that expensive today, and then you take leaps of tech 4, right? But yeah, so 30 series in the lead with 46%. And then the 10 series card, so yeah. And then 40 and 20. Yeah, that's interesting. There's an upgrade from 980 Ti to 4070. That's a good leap up, and that was about time. 900 series. That's old school. Old school. Yeah. Damn. The years just flies, right? I remember my 1060 card. And the 1080 was so expensive, right? Crazy. And from 1050 Ti to 6900. Yeah, that's also a pretty good step up, right? I haven't used a AMD card for a very long time, so I've mostly been on the NVIDIA team, and also since we had some cooperation with NVIDIA, obviously, naturally, getting some sponsorship cards from them. But we always had a few AMD cards at the office as well to make sure that, you know, we can run things right. 2060 Super, eh? Yeah, they had Super, and then now it's only Ti, right? Yeah. I mean, AMD did a little interesting release, right, with the FSR support for all their old cards as well. So software support and AI scaling and such is quite powerful. And NVIDIA have been quite in the lead there for quite a while with DLSS. But it seems like FSR is stepping up the game, which is nice to see for AMD users, right? But frame generation is really awesome. Really awesome. Can you do a powerful generation of CPU? I could. Which one do we take? What generation is natural in the CPU? I guess we could have pulse for i3 up to 9 equivalent AMD. How the hell would we do that? There's so many difference within generations as well. £400 for a 30 series card, lol. mean, in Sweden, all hardware specs are crazy expensive. In America, you get the same hardware for 60% of the price. It's crazy. 7,900. No, Entities is not coming with Unreal 5 patch. We don't want to add components that can just create additional chaos, imbalance, and so on. Unreal 5 step alone, the engine update is a huge task, and we want to make sure it's smooth, stable, and in place so everyone say, great, now we're ready for new content and features. It shouldn't be like, you know, holy shit, this is chaotic and buggy and performance struggling. You know, we want to make sure we hit a big milestone, everyone is set, happy with that state, and then we can start pushing more content and features. But there are some important content and features arriving with Unreal 5, which is especially for the new player experience, but also veterans can do those things. Tasks into infinitely, better bounty hunting support and rewards finally. So there's some good stuff, and obviously a lot of important things for TC. Very important, polish and balance. Yeah, 4090, 25,000 krona. That is pricey. That is pricey. It's like a whole computer, only for the little graphic card. I remember my days, my first computers. There were no graphics card, and then the Voodoo cards came out of nowhere. A standalone graphic card. It was so spectacular, you know. They merged the pixels, smudged them, and it was, holy shit, it was so cool. It was so cool. A blurry, nice mess instead of pixels. That was the days. That was the era of Quake 2, I believe. Yeah, this is on PTR, our internal test servers. And this is the build you're going to be able to test very shortly, minus the missing textures, obviously. But yeah, this is Lumens on current build. This build isn't too happy when it comes to textures. So ignore that here in this scene. But yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Oh, it's so nice. Look at the light coming in here from this side, and it slowly fades more shadow into the corner. That's lumens. It's magical power. Quake World. That was the days. That was the days indeed. It just looks fresh. Fresh. Right? It just looks fresh. No, tomorrow we're gonna have some dates for you guys. So we need one more day, and then yeah, we'll have some dates. It's fresh. Look how fresh it is. Who is this? A hunting facilitator. Could you guess what a hunting facilitator is? Or should we change the name on her? Yes, we're gonna start marketing for the first time ever when we do the launch. That is indeed the new task guy. One of the things is we don't wanna make new players even more confused when joining in. So we always discuss these basic things like the name of this character is supposed to help new players. And does this confuse a new player? Hunting facilitator, or should it just say task, hunting task, or something like that? So it actually spells out the name task. What do you think, guys? Hunt master. So the important point is that they need to learn that they can do tasks, that is the quests, and they need to find them, recognize them, and understand it in the name. Task master for sure. 100% need it clearer. Yeah, these are, you know, basic things, but they are important. A new player could either miss a lot of these things or actually get a lot of these things when being new in game. So, hunt master. Hunting task facilitator. That's one version, right? Because, I mean, Mortal Line in the old days have been known for having very deep lore, meaningful name on everything, very difficult to pronounce some of the things, but it comes from the lore and gives meaning and depth. But at the same time, a new player says, what in the hell is this? I don't get anything, and I get lost. Obviously, one of the big important steps for us moving forward is to embrace new players, get them aboard so they can, you know, join in and become a long-term player. Hunting task master is a good one. I'm gonna take some notes. It's not bad examples you guys have, and those are some of the things we're discussing, right? And we want to make it as clear as possible. Yeah, I mean, Mortal 1 was insane initially. You know, there was nothing that brought a new player into a direction. And, you know, back in days, many years ago, that kind of worked. But today, coming from all those MMOs, you just are not, you're not up for it. You're not ready for it. So we need to evolve along with that, thanks to all other MMOs making a lot of that. Senior hunting and facilitator manager in face-to-face marketing. Just hunting master, crafting master. You know, we may be able to increase the FOB a little bit. We do keep getting some of those requests. We may want to bump it a little bit. Huntsman, huntswoman. So this is the hunting task, right? And then we have something that we call the warden tasks. And then we will have fishing, crafting, etc. to cover all kind of profession and directions. So all new players can, if they're not interested in combat and fighting, they can, you know, do exploration, crafting, refining, etc. Fishing. So, and we're starting with hunting and warden tasks, and that is combat-oriented missions, kind of, for the different nations. We are also going through all the starting locations when it comes to outlaws. We know the outlaws ambush are quite violently, and they also violently engage new players harshly. And we are working on that to minimize that. We're making the creatures a little bit more blind around the starting areas. And we're going to make sure we clear out some of those nasty outlaws ganking new players. There will be scoundrels and types instead that they can survive and escape from and learn to finally kill as well. So yeah, that's part of some of the polishing we're going through right now. But yeah, so the hunting facilitator, we want to make sure the name is clear and good. And then don't we have... yeah, we have the Caraxi. I mean, that's also one of those names, right? When a new player arrives here and they look at the Caraxi, they're going to wonder, what the hell is a Caraxi, right? And that's Mortal Online lore and depth, but how will the new players, you know, react to that? A Caraxi. A Caraxi bird keeper. What the hell is that? The facilitator. Oh, a companion. What's this? It's a companion. Oh, we got some hunter tiers. Oh, oh. Nice, nice. Nice. Coraxi Contractor. Just use Birdkeeper. Birdkeeper. I mean, in this case it says Birdkeeper, right? So Coraxi is just like, I guess it's a name, right? But Birdkeeper sounds like you could, figure out what that is, right? Coraxi Facilitator for the first time could be a little bit confusing. But the thing is also, we don't want a new player to run straight into him and start doing bounties, right? Because you know what that will result in, right? Am I right? Am I right? You know what that's gonna result into. So it's good if they learn what that is a little bit later when they got a foot into the game, right? Exactly. Celestial Frog. Exactly. Service woman. He's encaged around the Birdkeeper. That's true. It's Tazu. That would give a nice little indication. Look at this floor. How freaking crisp is it? Look, do you see the reflection on the stream? This is ultra crisp. Ultra realistic. So freaking crisp. You cannot learn to kill early enough. True, but you know, they would just waste your time trying to find you and then poof, they're dead, right? Look at the shadows behind this bench. Look how it behaves. If this was only 4, there's only 2 dimensions, bright and dark. No edges, no soft, no toning, no gradient, no radius, no fade. This is lumens, and that's why lumens is so freaking realistic. Look how the sun hits here and burn it a little bit here and then fades out. It's just lovely. Lumens is so powerful, and this is the future of gaming, guys. All the games in the coming years, this is what's gonna blow your mind. But we're doing it already. We're already blowing your mind in the first MMORPG in the world with Unreal 5 lumens. We are first out, but this is how the game's gonna look in the future, in the coming years. Most of the games are gonna support lumens pretty much for years to come. So, you know, it's awesome. Nice season cats and dogs running around. True. We are lacking some of those creatures that we could add. Please add OLL in the game. Yeah, I guess we could add support for different letters also. I'll send a cake to your office every week for a year if Unreal 5 patch includes sitting at the table. So we've been talking about RP elements, table games so much for a long time, and every time we talk about it, everyone agrees. That's gonna be lovely, it's gonna be chill, it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be RP, it's gonna be playing games, making money. Everyone can enjoy a little bit of that, right? So I think it's about time that we make it happen, right? Instead of keep talking about it. So we're gonna have a few of those things in upcoming patch. We just want to deploy Unreal 5, have it stable, polished and nice, and then we can finally start adding a lot of cool features and content. That will be high up there for sure. Seems like pet content, new magicals, kite shields, etc. will be the future update and not this one. Yes, we won't add new magic, kite shields or the pet gear in this patch. We want it to be controlled and focused on the big thing it is already is, which is Unreal 5, the task experience, these systems here, refining everything and polishing everything, a lot of TC fixes and balancing, so we can enjoy all the content stable, which is already in the game, but much better. And I think most will agree that that is appreciated before we move forward, right? Over time, we will just add a bunch of creatures that you can mount. We did one round, as you know, the Turbot wolves, pigs, babuntas, mulvas, right? And we will just continue at least down the road, depending on our prioritized order of things that what players want in the game as well. After an UE5 update, can we expect to have a fairly large choice vote for future content updates? Yeah, so I've been working, I have a little base already for it, and I'm going to present that soon. I've just been extremely busy with on UE5 and all the updates and everything around it. But the plan is to present to you, these are the plans for the upcoming roadmaps, and you will be able to help us with upvoting the order of these things. So if we see there's a high popularity in these features, they will be higher up and coming earlier into the game rather than later. So you will help us with those choices. Writable Panthers will be when we choose to add up a round of additional multiple creatures. Then that may be on the list, right? So again, it depends if a lot of the community and players says we really want a new pack of new mounts. It's time for that. New gear for the mounts, for instance. Then we can add that to the upcoming roadmap early on if that's what the majority wants, right? We may have the Diva system on this to see again how the community are looking at those features. I've discussed with Mats that we may have a suitable lore fitting function that is not a quick button to change things, but could allow you to do some changes when it comes to clades. That could give an option if you want to re-roll those without changing, deleting and recreating character, but it may be included in a specific rule set and procedure. But yeah, we're quite early still on that, but that's what we discussed early on, that it fits with the lore and what we had in mind, and also to allow you to do some changes if you feel you're stuck and would like to change. But it shouldn't be something that you can change. You shouldn't be able to change your appearance and name on the go and hide, because we said so many times, right? Your reputation should matter. You make a name for yourself, a good one or a bad one. You shouldn't be able to just discord all of that. We don't like that. Look how sharp and crisp it is, guys. So sharp and crisp. And TSR 100% adds a little bit of sharpness, which is really nice. And that's Epic Games' version of DLSS and FSR. And the good thing is it works on any GPU in the world. So they're doing their version of it in the engine. And it's quite impressive. What in the hell is all this? A hunting dashboard, eh? What in the earth? What in the earth? So there's a difficulty. There's some regions, quantities, rewards. There seems to be a timer, right? Interesting, interesting. Interesting. Mr. Prinkley, how you doing, eh? So this is the hunting task system. You will be able to test this a little bit in the next PTR as well, so you can help us, find stuff, and also input on balance and rewards. But it starts out very basic. A noob can't really fail on getting bush picks, for instance. So you're getting some coins as a reward. You're getting standings and task standings. And if we go up in level and difficulties, you eventually also get the hunting coins that you can spend on hunting rewards, such as a badass bear cape. Badass bear cape. Stuff like that. Gino, thank you for the prime, eh? Where the hell did my... I didn't get a what's it called? An alert, did I? Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate the Prime for 3 months. So the Raven Cape is the bounty hunting cape. Really cool. Have you seen Jon Snow in Game of Thrones? Quite inspired from that one. Very epic. So obviously you need to be a successful bounty hunter to try to achieve that cape. We won't be able to have the veteran system along with the Unreal 5 release. We will only have these additional features that I mentioned that are touching both new player experience, but also veterans can obviously spend a lot of time in these systems. Improve bounty hunting, hunting tasks, warden tasks. That's the start when it comes to that system. And again, we're fixing a lot of bugs, polishing quality of life, a lot of TC content. We are looking into the placement rules of TC constructing. We know that is not optimal, right? So just polishing and making everything works better and be more fluid and functional and nice. Fishing is one of the tasks. We have it fully designed, etc. But the function are not finished for it. So some of those tasks we're going to be expanded on upcoming patches as well. We have the system for now, the task system, and then now we just add in the different categories, right? Like crafting, refining, fishing, and so on. So, but yes, fishing is one of them, but that's not finished yet. So they will arrive over time also. Tasks should have some meaning. That's exactly what I have. So imagine a new player. Like I said, this is the biggest identified fall-off factor for new players. When they arrive per million here, they stand here and say, what do I do now? They don't know. So they take a break and they never come back. That's obviously very bad, right? This system allows them to finally get work, get character progression, learn the world, learn everything, and just build their skills and knowledge and become a long-term player. Very important system. And along with that, you get exciting rewards. So this sets up goals and missions for both new players and old players. So this is extremely important for those that want to participate, that is. All right, but yeah, you will be able to test some of these as well. We would like to see some inputs, and it's always good if, I mean, you guys that are players find things that we may miss, right? Even though we have a professional QA team, external hired, that does a hell of a job to make sure everything works as designed. It's a huge improvement and helps stability in patches. But there's so much room for variations and clever creativity that some of you guys may find out, right? So we appreciate that support also. It just helps the patches also. Do you have to accept tasks before you hunt? Yes. You can't go out and hunt and then sit here, accept them, instantly fill them. So you will get first you actually get a location, you accept it, you go there. Maybe able to take this one. Yeah, I received that one. So you see, it even helps the noobs. Do you see the compass up in the hunting task bush pigs? Even says 300 meters. So a noob can't fail here, right? This is the first step. So they will get familiar with, okay, this is how it works, and you know, I can learn to go there. I will find them. I have this little bush pig deed that tells me what's going on. I can't fail, right? So that's to help the noobs that are completely lost. But this will slowly let go of these steps. You have to learn, okay, I saw wolves over there, I may be able to find them, and you know. But this is one option that shows you there are bush pigs here. So this system helps me to get going on the basic things. And these are vital for new player retentions. This was lacking in Mortal 1 as well. We didn't have the hold handling there. So a lot of casual new players, they just quit because they didn't know what to do and they didn't bother to ask or figure things out. And many of those just need a little bit of a start and then bam, they become a long-term player and learn all these things, right? We don't want to overwhelm them either with too much because online can be quite complex and deep, right? Before you are fully relaxed. Yeah, those are some of the things, right? If it's not clear, too small, wrong color, polish, right? So absolutely, we are working on those things. Smash the watermelon. Just want to see if we have the bush pigs 74 meters from here. Oh, we got some missing water here. Yeah, this build isn't optimal, but it's in a bit in between build that we are testing things on. Yeah. So as you can see, this is a quite easy understanding system for those that ask, what the hell do I do in this game? Well, you go and... Oh my god. I'm too slow. Come here, little... Pooh. Game. Game! Look at the fur. Look at the fur details. It looks more 3D with lumens as well, I think. Let's see if we... Oh, right into the stone. So these are the new player experience. We want to make sure it's... You can't fail on these steps as a new player. We'll let him... the aggro range is quite far. I should have taken a little baby instead. P. A little better sword. Streamer loot, indeed. Yeah, so in short, you guys that knows where the bush pigs are obviously don't have to follow this direction. You can just go straight to them, right? But it gives a new player a direction to get going on the basic things. And then you will learn eventually when you move around in the world where all the different creatures is, obviously. And that's also part of the task. Where do I find this type of creature? This is one of my tasks to solve. And in this case, I need 8 of those bush pigs to fulfill this order. Anything planned for tools crafted by players, or will they stay? Well, what the hell? Where did it go? I lost the message. Yeah, I mean, tweaking speeds, difficult levels on these mobs to make sure a new player can't fail on them is part of the polish we're doing right now. Shouldn't be too difficult to finish the first task, right? And you know, this task system is also available for players eventually, where you, I mean, we have buy orders and etc., right? Which is, you know, in itself some kind of task between players, right? No, I don't drop this if I die, and again, that is to, you know, make sure you don't completely runs into problem when you're doing this. Got a super sword here, eh? Hey! 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 We get more advanced tasks for veteran players. Yes, so this is only the first brackets of task, right? And you unlock higher difficulty levels as you go up in renown status from this task. So yeah, absolutely. There's a long list of progression, and obviously you will end up in boss-like challenges, sometime in places in dungeons, which is a perfect thing for you and your squad, for instance, to do those together. We'd obviously also share great rewards. So this is just the first brackets as you have available. So again, you have to build up that renown to unlock those higher tiers. Again, also so a noob doesn't pick the kill the Spider Queen, for instance. Wouldn't turn out too good, right? So we have 5 out of 8, and that also differentiates a little bit the type of task you get and amount. This time I got 8 bush picks. Show bounty dude. I did show the window, the updated window, but I don't have anyone that I could bounty cycle here. But I could try and finish this at least and show you one full cycle of task. So I need 2 more pigs. Pigs. A little piggy. Hey. A little piggy. Come here, yo. Hey. Task progress completed. So now it's time to go home. I thought we had a waypoint that also showed my way back, but it doesn't seem like that's in this build. You know, this is what a new player recognize and understand, instead of saying what they do in this game or even don't ask the question at all and quit the game. So there needs to be a little bit of a hand-holding. We have analyzed that heavily during the latest year. We also have discussion with various publishers that have a lot of experience in this field that are interested in this game, because we're making something very unique and different. And looking at the stats when it comes to new players, what they do, why they leave, why they're confused. These are requirements to allow the game to grow. But obviously you as a veteran don't have to care about anything of this. You just go straight to the whatever you want, right? And that's the beautiful thing of this sandbox. You're not forced to do anything of this, but this gives you a solid hand-holding option for any new player. So they don't have to ask, what the hell do I do now when I enter Midland? You know, I can do these tasks, just like I can do missions in EVE Online, for instance. We have considered adding the option for the different weapons, yes. So if you don't want to be a sword user, you could have the hammer or axe or dagger. That could also be soulbound, just like this starting sword. You know, we can see that, right? So we got some glory, we got some hunter renowned, we got some silver coins in this very first basic thing. Thank you very much. So I only have these 4 to choose from right now because of my current renowned status. As you can see, I do have 36 now, which means I can't yet do Belbus, but eventually I can go up and eventually hunt brown bears and get greater rewards. And when I surpass this, you see this little progression bar as well to show that, you know, there's more to come. You expand this list and you will get a lot more challenges that you can do solo or with friends. Yeah, new players struggle with leaving Haven. I mean, Haven works just as it is, right? I mean, no one get confused or have too much of a problem on Haven. We see that we have a very high game rate compared to many other games on Steam, that they don't have major problems on Haven. They just follow those tutorials, go through them and learn the basics, right? But it's when they leave to Mirland, they're used to have a NPC with a question mark over the head. They don't know what to do, and some of them take a break then. And when they take a break, when they don't have a goal or something that excites them, this is next, I need to do that tomorrow because I don't have time, then they forget about it and they may not relog into the game. If they have a friend or guild or a goal, then they're past that already, right? But those many new players that want to try it out, they need a direction. So now, in this state I'm right now, I have a direction now. I know that I can soon take this next tier. I'm gonna unlock new stuff. You know, it's interesting to see what's next. I'm building my character, I'm building money, I'm getting some progression, I'm getting my glory. And soon I'm getting the coins as well, hunting coins, and I can see cool rewards. All of a sudden there are optional goals that allows me to scout the world, learn about things, get better, and bam! Sooner or later I may be interested in crafting or whatever that may be, joining a guild, and then I become a long-term player. So this is a very important, you know, core backbone system to show new players, you know, some basic stuff in the world. How do I gain renown? By doing these missions. So I just finished this one bush pig task, and I got 36 renowned. So by doing the tasks, I get more of them, and that unlocks additional types, higher difficulties, higher rewards, and so on. Rugus, yeah. So there's two things, right? Most players leave because they don't know what to do. They have no goals. Some people just head out straight into the wilderness, get killed by a wolf pack or a player, and then take a break. Same thing as, well, they don't know what to do next. They don't have a goal yet. They haven't learned that this is a true sandbox, that you can do a lot of things. They may think, well, I can't do anything. I just go around and fight. They haven't learned that there's so much more to do in this game than that. It's a true sandbox game, right? So that is why we're adding guards, patrolling paths, security, and wilderness zones, which is the opposite, and this system to guide them through this so they can't fail. So that is why this update is so important for the Epic release. Cool system, good for new players, as you said, Henrik. Yeah, it's vital. We noticed that when we look at the data from Steam past year, this is requirement for us to get more new players, and we all need and want new players, right? Either to kill them or befriend them or guild them, recruit them, or just trade with them, right? All of that, which we all enjoy in different ways. For that to grow, more players just helps that experience for everyone, right? I think we should have a little mouse over, right, to show what this is. Because yeah, these symbols may be a little bit confusing until you learn them. But we are looking at renowned, prominence, nation, and hunter coin, and instant gold, silver rewards. So those are the 5 different rewards. And as you can see, you don't get them in the first, but you start getting those when you can do Belbus and yeah, further down the rope. So yeah, this is the task system, and like I said, this is just a hunting field. You can choose to be a hunting specialized, you can choose to be bounty hunting, which is obviously not the first option for a new player, only veterans mostly. And then you have the warden task board as well. So those are the starting tasks that you'll be able to choose from and or play around with. Show the name on occurrences when you hover over them. Yeah, exactly. That's polished stuff that absolutely helps, right? Will ever be a party system? That's a question that comes a little bit every now and then, but I also have mostly been no, not really, because it's not necessary. You can play as a guild, right? Which is a little bit like a party, because you share. I mean, you do share experience when you pass damage and heal when it comes to fighting PvE, for instance. So it already gives you that split of rewards, even without a group function, right? So it's never really have been fully necessary, because it doesn't change much. It's a free dynamic open world where you can, play with friends and still share the benefits, because you choose who to loot, and you will share the prominence no matter what, right? If you pass damage or heal. So, yeah, but sometimes you want to hang with people that aren't in your guild, maybe during contract or whatever. Yeah, but you can still do that, right? Because what is limiting, if you think about it, what is limiting you for hang out with a casual group or another player? What is preventing, what functions are you missing or preventing, you mean? I mean, you can friend up, you can whisper, you can go out and hunt together, you can share all the loot and rewards. So there's nothing really that you are losing out on, right? I would understand if it's that. You can't split prominence, you can't split the loot, because it would work like in World of Warcraft. It's assigned to the players, or you're not getting anything. Then I wouldn't understand it, right? But you're already getting that, and you are in charge of the actual loot splitting. So you're not really missing out on anything, right? Part needed for group chat. So group chats, I mean, I guess, yeah, maybe a group chat, right? I mean, you can still whisper together, you can start a guild, but yeah, if you don't want to have a guild with those people, I can see a casual group chat. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if as long as you have cream off, you won't accidentally hit your newly met friend, right? And you will share the prominence, and you will decide to share the loot if you want to, right? So it's not that we are missing out on a lot. Group chat, maybe, yeah. If I hit my friend during the fight, I become cream. Yeah, but you can disable that, right? So you can't make that mistake if you're just there to hunt PvE and don't want to engage in criminal actions and other threats, right? But I mean, we had a discussion every now and then to see, are we missing out on anything? Do the game benefit from it? Will all the players agree and enjoy it? I mean, we reached a conclusion. Well, we're not really missing out on anything other than, yeah, maybe group chat. All right. Holy cow, we're already at 2 hour mark, guys. Let me start this little thing also so we don't get way out of track here. Compass marker that shows most recent loot bag after you die, please. It's one of those, do we really want it? Do we want to add that component in the game? Do we all agree it fits Mortal9? You know, obviously I can see the meaning for it. It's very convenient to be able to just run at the arrow and there's my loot bag, because sometime you forgot and you'll search and you'll run around. Sometimes you're lucky you find it, sometimes you don't, and then next time obviously you're more keen on learning where did I die. I put a little marker here, I recognize location, I run back to get it. There's some player skills involved with it, but maybe it's not necessary player skills, if you know what I mean. But it's some of those things that, sure, we could add it. Does it help the players, especially new players? Do we care about it? You know, some of those questions, right? And yeah, if it's no negative things and no one hates it and think it's fine and it helps a lot of new players, maybe it's something to consider, right? So you know, those are some of the things we do discuss every now and then. And I'm, you know, we're always curious to hear with obviously our players, right? Just like, let me. A little quick poll. Cast your votes. It's always interesting to see if it's overwhelming in one direction. Then maybe, you know, we can add that to the list. Main reason my friend quit was because they died and couldn't find the stuff. You know, I can see this being a big thing for new players, absolutely. And if it's something that doesn't go against anything that we all love and care about in Mortal9, and if it just helps new players, then I'm all for it, right? So there's a lot of those small things that could be very helpful for new players that just makes sense and fits in the game today. So cast your vote. And this is the interesting thing. With some of the response, I would have thought maybe it's 98% yes. But all of a sudden it's 41% yes. 26 no. Timed 33, which means time is obviously along with the yes. So it is still majority on the yes. Just a little specific rule tied to it. So we could say, so it's around 75% on the yes side, which is quite a lot, right? Compared to no. So it's interesting. I mean, there, like I said, there's quite a few of those that may not be game breaking in terms of, you know, the core essence and feel of Mortal9, and that, you know, you need to rely on your brain and player skills and knowledge and power, which is a lot. It weighs a lot in Mortal9, right? We all know that. But again, we need to think that there are hundreds of thousands of players that could really love Mortal9. They have no clue it exists yet. And obviously, some of them may be knocked off the road of becoming a player if there's too many annoyances and hinderings that don't allow them to become a player and get really into it, right? And if there's too many of those components, we could lose a few players which could have become a player if we remove some of those annoyances, right? So it's interesting, and we are keen on obviously helping new players. That's a big important component. If we can see a huge increase in, you know, retaining new players, keeping them, that's a win for all of us, right? That cares about Mortal9. Makes pig round slower. Yeah, the push pig, a new player will struggle a little bit, especially if they're a new character. I mean, if they've stayed on Haven, which most players will stay more. I just instantly left there, so I have nothing. They will learn to fight a little bit, right? And have some gear. They can buy the better sword to get some skills. some strength. So they should do better performance than me with this character that did nothing. But obviously we want to make sure they can't fail. They shouldn't struggle with their first bush pig task, the first thing they want to achieve in the game, right? After leaving Haven. And then Care Bear vote will pass, make a vote, and see if people want to lose their shit when they die. I mean, for the fun of it, we could make a poll, right? But I think the majority is here for those core rules that we shouldn't change, and we don't plan to change those. Those are tied deeply into the game, and we don't consider the core rules. We're not talking about the core rules and the red line that we want to protect and why we're here, right? You know. And there will always be some troll votes, so, you know, it can't be 100%. But I'm quite sure the people that are here and, you know, the slightest enjoyment in Mortal 9 are here for some of those reasons of the core rules, right? So yeah, a little lull poll, right? But yeah, I think it's time to sign up for the giveaway. So guys, if you type !ammo2, it is running. So we will have that rolled shortly. Does the quest director indicator work with the auto compass type? Good question. Let's take a quick look. I know they're in between in this build. No. So yeah, that's why we have that as a default. That again, many people are used to and start on. And then the hardcore players like you that prefer the round one can use the round one. For the love of the God, don't change the core of this game. If they want an easy game, go play millions out there. Absolutely, you don't have to worry. We are very passionate about that true sandbox MMORPG, and some of the core rules are full PvP, full loot, right? It's one of those that gives the depth, the meaningful excitement, risk, reward that is a baseline in the game, right? So this poll is absolutely nothing that you have to take seriously, right? So that was a little bit of a troll poll or something like that. I mean, the majority is here for that reason. It's not another theme park clone. And that's what makes it fresh and interesting. You know, it's more of a discussion of, do we want to have some aid that really improves the new player experience and doesn't really bother the core red line core rules and the veterans, such as some of those things, showing your death and loot, you know. Yes, new players will suffer from that because they will not consider that I should recognize my place when I died. So they learn that the harsh way, right? They have to run around, get confused, die, repeat, get lost, don't find loot. And it's a frustrating battle to learn. You learn, right? When you die, you know you need to go back there. And you don't struggle with that as a new player will for quite a while. So sometimes there are room for some of those functions that doesn't really matter for the rest of us, but a new player, it could be a much more pleasant introduction to the game. Would I claim rewards for task currency? Or is it gonna be, there would be another NPC. Oh no, we actually said that it will be included in this NPC if I'm not mistaken. It's just that we don't have that tab yet. Either that or there will be another NPC that you trade the golds with. Same when it comes to the bounty hunter. So that would be there in the next build. I mean, you know that when you die, you have to go back and find the loot. And you know the world inside and out as a veteran. You have no problems navigating in the world. You won't just get lost, right, when you're outside a city. You know where you are. So that's a big win already there, which no new player knows. So when they die, they will not even have a chance to be able to find the loot. They also don't know that they have to recognize where to die to try to get their loot back in many cases. So that's what I mean, that you don't struggle in the same way as a new player does when it comes to finding your loot. And they have to learn the hard way, right? And if there's 10 things that will learn the hard way that could be more pleasantly experienced, it could be a small effect on the new player iteration. G-Man, thank you for the Prime, 12 month. That is awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Shit, I'm a little bit behind here. We're already at giveaway, guys. If you just tune in, exclamation mark M2, and I will roll it in a moment. What's the plan for the new content after Unreal 5 optimization? The PTR made it seems like 1440p was nearly unplayable on system 2 years old. So, I don't know if, did you see my little video that shows the latest build performance progression that was based on the latest PTR, which described that yes, some of the build's hardwares struggle more than others on Unreal 5, and we worked hard on that and a few other things that were vital to fix and improve. I have a little video that is on a 7-year-old computer that now runs better in Unreal 5 compared to Unreal 4 in Medulla. I can show it a little bit quickly again if you missed it. A little quick if you didn't were here. So left side Unreal 4 on live, right side Unreal 5 on latest build. This is on a 7-year-old 1080 graphic card, so it's the 10 series card. This is with lumens, epic settings, some TSR, and as you can see, we run 15-20 FPS higher on this old computer in Unreal 5 with lumens enabled. That is really solid. No, this is 1440p. That is 1440p. This is the resolution. Obviously, we can't show the entire screen resolution when we do them side by side. But this is a comparison just to see where the performance is today in the current build. And the right is much better. Visuals is better, more soft. Lumens is enabled, which means next generation lightings. We have better performance. And then it's up to your personal preferences when it comes to sharpness, anti-aliasing, what kind of TSR settings, if you want it more pixelated and flickering like the left one, or if you want it more soft, non-flickering, soft edges. That's personal opinions, right? And you can play around with those settings. So yeah, we're very happy that we have worked very hard with great results when it comes to raw performance. As you can see, 60 to 80, 90 in comparison. So having better FPS with lumens in Unreal 5 compared to Unreal 4 in live, that is very good on an old computer like this. 7700 Intel, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 1080 graphic card. So this is a 7-year-old computer and it runs, as you can see, 160 FPS in ThinRAM with lumens. So it's very exciting to see how all the different hardware specs will result in the next PTR test build we're gonna run very shortly to confirm these things, right? And a lot of the hard work have been into TC as well. A huge amount of TC, polish, refinement, balancing, all based on your feedback during the past months. So TC will be in a better state, more enjoyable, more balanced, easier to siege, thanks to a lot of those components, right? So yeah, there's a lot of important improvements in this patch. Henrik, we seen on PTR or FPS? No, Smart TV, this is the latest build that we have built today, which is after the PTR feedback when we identified your performance by looking into the data. And that pointed out some of the issues when it comes to performance and some other things. And we already worked very hard on those areas. And this is the latest build. So on the PTR build that you played, the right side was below the left side, FPS wise. You ran worse in Unreal 5, just like many of you did in Unreal 5. But as you can see now, it's reversed. Now, on that old computer, we are surpassing the FPS in Unreal 4 with lumens on in Unreal 5. So this is very impressive as a baseline. And you will be able to test this on the next PTR very shortly, so you can see for yourself what you're getting on your hardware. So yeah, this is a lot of work after the PTR. The PTR was last weekend, right? So yeah, a few days ago. And we worked day and night, because when we heard that a lot of people complain on the baseline FPS and we identified the hardware for that, we made sure that is a high priority thing for us, because we couldn't see that on all our hardware. You know, we performed very well. So now we identify that, and this is the result so far. We have a little bit more to do, but we're quite happy that we're surpassing Unreal 4 on all the hardware. So you will be able to test this also. But like I said, you can change the settings, let holo gaming. You have more settings now you can play around with. If you want it more pixelated and flickering, you know, some people prefer that rather than more soft, non-flickering, not pixelated, more smooth, like anti-aliasing. You have different settings, obviously. You don't have TSR, DLSS, TSR options in Unreal 4. So obviously there's some preference there as well. Both are 1440p. TSR 58 on the Unreal 5 to show that you can gain more FPS depending on settings. But like I said, you have plenty of options if you want to go more soft or crisp or pixelated. That's up to you. Some people prefer one side. Not accurate, the one on the right is 1080p. What? No, both is 1440. This is the same computer in the same locations, recorded with the same settings, minus TSR and lumens, and same resolution. And this is the result we have so far. But yeah, obviously if you throw in 100 characters on the screen, that comes at a cost, right? But that's also the thing. The characters in Unreal 5, we have optimized to be cheaper than a character in Unreal 4. So the character scales better also. 5 characters cost more than 6 characters in Unreal 5. So it scales a little bit better also. But like I said, we want to confirm on a lot of hardware specs and combinations. And that's where PTR comes in handy, right? And our previous PTR helped us identify that we need to work more on hardware optimization for all the hardware specs also. Which is exactly what we're showing here. It's have been done. On last PTR, the right side had less FPS than the left side. Now it's reversed. So we're quite happy with the progression on the performance baseline. No, I haven't given the key yet. I just showed this to anyone that logged in late. I'm gonna do the roll in a minute, so you can sign up if you haven't. !MA2. So obviously we love to do Halloween and all those seasonal events, patch themes. But as you know, we are in the between. The next patch will be Unreal 5 transition. We will do the launch on the Epic Game platform. So if we were to add a Halloween patch in Unreal 4, we're going back to the hell that we want to avoid, which means again working in a new branch, carefully adding things there, and we just have to throw away everything. So I don't think it's worth the investment this time, sadly, to add that patch this time and sacrifice Unreal 5 polish and release. And I hope that you understand that why we unfortunately can't support the Halloween event this year, which is of course a bit sad because we always, you know, done that. Christmas though, that's another indeed. I mean, we are ready for Christmas. The only thing is we haven't got that far that we have planned those details because we have been so occupied with Unreal 5. It's been quite overwhelming, but we are finally in a good position. We feel quite confident and secure now, especially after this latest build when we really proceeded or got a very good result on the overall performance. But we want to make sure that you guys can also confirm on your end on all the different hardware specs that, all right, you know, we're back in business when it comes to all the generation. So yeah, unfortunately Halloween doesn't look like we can make that happen this year. Christmas looks safer. I mean, we have our traditional, what's the name of him again now? The raffle bags. You know, we have traditional there as well every year. Damn man, I'm afraid I can't show the cape. It's a big secret. Big secret. Krampus, exactly. Krampus, good old Krampus, right? Would be nice to have him this year. Those lovely raffle bags. When will title have effect like mining a title for mining buffs? I'm not sure. We never really intended to have achievement titles to actually give effects in the game. That's a new concept. I don't know if it fits and if that's something that we would be interested in adding later on in the game. I'm not sure. Titles in Mortal Line have been more achievements, you know, status achievements, progression, rather than buffs. When we get in Dragon Showed, you will see. You will see. Eventually you will run for your life when you see the dragon. Do Halloween event after Unreal 5 release. Wouldn't that be strange though? I mean, what date is usually Halloween? What era are we in? I'm so lost when it comes to life around me currently. October 31. So, yeah. Unfortunately, we won't be able to make a Halloween patch. And I'm not sure we're going to be able to make it anytime soon after either. So, best bet on Christmas, right? I mean, it's so important we get Unreal 5 in a good solid state, good polishment, good bug fixing, a lot of TC updates and fixing, just overall a lot of good stuff. And we are eager to show you guys that this, all these bugs that we've been working on should be just a pleasant experience, right? And for any new player, obviously joining in should have minimized impact of negativity experience when it comes to bugs and issues. So I think most people will see that there's a point in making sure Unreal 5 is just stable, runs good, and we removed a lot of bugs. And there's some content and features coming in, right, that we mentioned, but that is the main focus. And after that, we can more fully focus on content and features without having to go back and fill around with bugs and such in the same degree. So I hope that makes sense. And also, we want to be in a stable state, because with Unreal 5 release and Epic Game release, that's when subs are starting, right? So we want to make sure that you have a pleasant experience without bug impacting your gaming session. So we will have some dates and updates tomorrow. We'll finally iron out our schedule and all the feedback and reports, and like we've shown, great progression based on the PTR. Subs equals bad, but that's what makes the game good. You know, subs will help the game grow, expand, get better, and you will be able to enjoy the game more, better, faster, get better support. Everything gets better when we get resources from Mortal Online. So if we like and care about Mortal Online, we need absolutely. Subs also means less cheating, less trying to do bad stuff. There's a lot of good stuff coming with the subs. And you know, those that want to enjoy and care for the game, they will be able to pay and play and enjoy it. And those that are hating on it, want to ruin things for us, it makes sense that they don't pay the sub and continue playing and hating, right? Makes sense. And that's pretty nice to see them leave finally. You know, it's not that we don't want all players, but you know, sometimes there are some players that just, maybe this isn't the game, but they still want to linger around and throw crap at everyone. And that's not a good experience for anyone that want to enjoy the game. So a lot of people are actually looking forward to the sub because it's going to clear out some crap, right? You're going to just make some of the experience a little bit better. And like I said, it is necessary obviously to pay, you know, for the development servers, all of that is necessary to keep growing and expanding the game. Subs means less player in general. I mean, sure, if there are those that linger around and playing that don't care and don't like the game, and if they quit when they need to pay, then yes, those players will not be in the game. But like I said, there are some players that maybe shouldn't be playing Mortal Online, and some players will enjoy the game just better when they're not in there doing their crap. You know what I mean? So there are pros and cons, obviously, right? And you know, we don't want to make a pay to win game, lock content. So yeah. And yeah, we do want to start the marketing again. First time ever. We did a small marketing campaign during the stress test, and that's when you saw Asmongold and Lyric pop up in the game, and we have 60,000 players joining in during a week. That was insane. Very exciting, because we were so overwhelmed that the majority of those players said, holy shit, this is the game. This is awesome. You know, we didn't think that many casual random players showing up would be that excited about the game. So that showed us a very exciting indication for the future, that there are a lot of players out there that, you know, enjoy Mortal and looking forward to Mortal. Yeah, we're looking at 14.25, $14 US, regional priced a month, and there will be packages that gives you discounts if you commit on bigger time commitments. Henrik, poor shaming people right now. What do you mean? I never shame anyone. It's not in my nature to shame anyone. I mean, the server handles more than 2K players. You know, there are always these cool rumors what people think it can handle without obviously having any facts whatsoever. We have reported a lot of the progression over the year. Since the Steam release, then yes, we run into server, especially queue issues that really affected our release. We have to pause everything, shut down marketing, and work a lot on the network side. And over that year, obviously, we've done a lot of work on the network. It's been 1,000 times better in so many ways, and highly optimized. So it looks very different today compared to what it did during the Steam release. Absolutely. That's been one of the biggest thing in the background, actually, during the development, in the shadows, without marketing, to be ready. What does the player count have to drop for you to revert to sub idea? I mean, if we can't fund the project, what is there to revert, you mean? I don't know what options we would have, right? Shall we do the giveaway, guys? Final minutes, and then we roll it. Exclamation mark M2, and then boom, okay? Yeah, we're looking, so on the table we have a combat focus polishing phase. There's quite a few things included in that, which we're gonna share with you. That just absolutely gonna help combat feeling less clunky, more fluid and smooth, and some cool abilities attached to it, so we can have more tactical component and options rather than the traditional dual spin tactic. Obviously that's not a very valuable tactic in a real war where the game shines when it comes to combat, but we will add interesting component to just add more skills and depth as options. Yeah, obviously there's always room for improvement, right? And you know, again, we have to prioritize and pick and choose what's most important for this initial step milestone. There's absolute room for improvement on Haven to make that even more pleasant and clear, but we haven't really seen on all the data from Steam over the year, which is a lot of important valuable data, is that no player really struggled to manage Haven. Some stay for weeks, some stay for a few days. The problem starts when they enter Midland, and it's not because of, you know, instant murder by someone or something. It's because they don't know what to do. If they don't have a guild friend or goal and are new, they just wander out. They're not sure what to do. There's no quests, and they will run into either get lost or run into a pack of wolves or a murderer, and that's a good time for them to take a break because they have no goal. That's when we lose the majority. So, and that's why we had the task system. So that's going to help that situation. So they don't drop the ball. They have a goal. They have a mission. They can progress. They can always go back to that. They are not lost. That would be a huge improvement to make sure that new players have a much better chance. What's the bad price for SV? What do you mean, Guillermo Lono? Hello, Henrik, I'm an idiot. Can you explain what the Diva system is going to entail? Is it even a thing? I'm even here right now. Mr. Prinkley, so the Diva system is the system that we kind of vaguely designed many years ago, which is supposed to be the allow for another slot in your account that is your tied sibling-like character. So you can have another character, but you share reputation and some things between them because we want reputation and those things to matter. So that is this system behind allowing to play as something more, but you still share the consequences of the characters, if that makes sense. So that's in short what the Diva system is. How do I pay sub in Russia? So we will have different option on our website for everyone, I think, worldwide, to enable subscription. We don't support Steam Wallet at this point. We will look into expanding additional options over time if needed. Can I solve finish? Timer, please. So we haven't finished the Diva system because when we started to design the character system in Mortal 2, we rebuilt it to improve it from the first game. In the first game, it was a little bit in the opposite. You had up to 3 slots, and you could you were more restricted. You only have one set of skills to distribute your points. It wasn't divided into crafting and actions. It was much more limited, and so you just created a bunch of characters and you didn't invest in them. You didn't feel like you were, you know, one with that character. You just created a bunch of characters, spread them out. You didn't care. You load into one just to craft, load into one to do this and that. So people didn't like that. So we recreated that system to make sure that you can fully commit to a profession and your main, play style in one character. And it doesn't stop there. When we also release the veteran system, you're going to be able to further expand that progression. So everything is built in mind with one character, one profession, split up, dedicated skill system, where you also are somewhat forced to interact and trade with the things that you lack, because we want to promote player interactions. But we can also see, obviously, there's a high interest in giving a little bit more, such as a character slot with the Diva system. And, initially, this also a little bit changed over the time, depending on how players, experience it over a long period of time. And still, we haven't really got to the veteran system, so we don't see the full scope yet. But that means our system is designed with one character in mind, which means if we are to change it, there's quite a few areas we need to solve things tech-wise to be able to support the Diva system. So if we decide and go through that is fitting to do, we need to solve a few technical design difficulties before it can be fully implemented. So yeah. Pole arms. So all the weapon groups will get a huge, exciting update along with the special ability system, which means, yeah, pole arms may not be the most popular group of weapon today, but with that system, you will have unique abilities that only works with pole arms that are quite exciting, right? So all of them will be getting bonuses and tactical things that are exciting to use. So that means, all of a sudden pole arms could be getting a whole new meta style setup. So, and along with that, obviously we see something is extremely underperforming. We always try to carefully nudge that in a balance tweak without trying to overdo it very carefully. We have done steps already on pole swords, pole axes, and some specific weapons. Careful tweaks so we don't overdo it. We actually don't have any women working at Star Vault at this point in time. We had a few females over the years, but currently, no. Well, we have in finance a little bit, actually, but not in development. Yeah, Poleaxe, I agree that the picture overall from the community is that Poleaxe is still underperforming compared to pole swords. And pole swords may not fully be there yet also. So slowly but steady, we will look into those that are underperforming and not used. And like I said, the special abilities will absolutely give them unique options, making them very interesting. Should hire Miss Fallon. Yeah, the daggers have had a patch. I don't know if you tested them in PTR. We have adjusted the daggers. We identified the main issue when it comes to the weak spot main damage balance ratio. We had a session on that, and it's on PTR, so you will be able to try it again in our next upcoming short PTR to confirm your feedback on the daggers. But yeah, in general, the design wasn't fully followed, as in high base damage dagger could also do high weak spot chances, which shouldn't be the case, and that should have been addressed in latest PTR. I don't know if any one of you guys have tested it in latest PTR and can confirm that's the case, but that's something we are quite keen on making sure it is in place. No, the special ability is not in Unreal 5. That comes after. VR could boost your numbers. We do plan to add VR support eventually. The question is when, and the question is, yeah, how much of an interest there is for that. So you're going to help us with that input when we create the upcoming roadmaps. It's giveaway time, guys, before I swiddling through. Let's roll it, guys. It is time to roll the giveaway. Let me find it. Where the hell do we have it? Okay. Right. Good luck, everyone. Here we go. Chickaboom. Here we go. Let's go. Holy shit, almost 3 hours. The time goes so fast, guys. I always feel a little bit tired and think, oh, now it's gonna be a long day. But when you're in the stream, it's time flies, and it's actually nice enjoyment with you guys to hang out. Congratulations, Ganadorin. Ganandorn, I mean. You're doing good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. VR when, Henrik? I'm not sure. You know, experiencing Mortal in VR is insanely spectacular if you're lucky enough to have the hardware, right? And it also come at a performance cost. But I see there can be a lot of nice room for where you can RP, play games, have meetings, and just enjoy it to a whole new level, right? There's a lot of gameplay and RP elements that can fully support a very nice, unique, first-person only VR experience in Mortal 2. So we will absolutely have it. The question is, when should we spend some time on it, right? And that's where we want your help. If there's a high interest, you will be able to vote on it, so it gets put on the roadmap depending on your interest, right? Yeah, we are adjusting all the outlaws, especially surrounding all new players, all cities. Let's see, Ganandorn, are you here? Let me take care of that before we forget. Ganandorn, are you here? My neck is not good today. I always get it during my streams also. I always lean forward when I talk in the microphone. It's a bad habit and it put a hell of a strain on my neck. Alright, can you send me a DM here on Twitch, Ganadorn, so we can confirm and give you the CD code. Game copy. We will have dates tomorrow, Sabotage. Dates and updates tomorrow. Just leave your microphone, dummy. I do. The problem is I have it close, right? Just below me. But since my early streams, everyone said my mic is a little bit low. So I had to tend to lean forward a little bit. And it's enough to lean forward a little bit to get this high weight pressure on the neck. Because, you know, the head have quite a few kilograms, right? So over a long period of time, you start feeling it in the neck. So it's just a bad habit. I want to make sure that you can hear me loud and clear, so I always lean forward a little bit. But yeah, when I think about it, I don't have to, right? And just sit perfectly straight. Head is 4 kilograms. I learned from Emma2. That sounds about right, Azor. Mortal 2 can be very, what's it called? Very, what is the word I'm looking for, guys? Educational. Educational. Informative also, right? Indeed, any of those goes well. Let me grab that key one moment, guys. Where the hell do I have them again? Too many tabs open as usual. About 500. No wonder I run out of memory. Where the hell is it? Here it is. Alright. Ganadorn, are you a Mortal 1 veteran or Mortal 2 veteran? I always want to know. Google says average human head is 5 to 11 kilograms. Oh, is that so, way? No, not 11. That sounds crazy much, isn't it? Are we that off in Mortal 9, you mean? I think Matt's put the values and he always do insane research on everything. Should be close Should be close at least. Believable at least. Head weight should depend on int. Any plans to finish TC in the map? That's exactly what we're doing. So like as I mentioned many times, Unreal 5 includes a lot of bug fixing, a lot of balance, a lot of TC updates to just make sure it's solid, stable, and you know, better balanced. Way ahead on the stream. How the hell do you way ahead? 11 kilograms head. Yeah, that sounds a little bit too much, I think. But I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I thought we were quite close. You know, we usually do math research before we add some of the values, names, and all of that, right? First Necro Bus Kilo. Hey, is that so? Nice, nice. Necro time was epic. It was really awesome to see all the players running around in Necro Dungeon and figuring things out. It was awesome. Very fun for us devs to watch from above. Especially one room, if you know what I mean. Especially. Is that beard real? It is. Do you think I would have a fake beard? What's up with it? Is it good or no, or what? Why do you ask? I haven't really trimmed it lately. I usually handle it a little bit better, but you know, a lot of work steals my time. Misread it. 5 kilos or 11 lbs. Yeah, that sounds more accurate. 11 kilos would be quite the head. Yeah, there are sessions when we go over loot tables, chests, and so on. Absolutely. I don't know how much and how far we will be able to push all these things, right? We have to make sure Unreal 5 is stable. We fix the bugs. We are in a good state before we're moving forward. But we do have a session when it comes to the outlaw spawns, especially surrounding all the starting cities for, you know, very logical reasons, right? New player influx and so on. We need to make sure that that's stable. Can't wait for all magic schools to get a rework. What do you mean with rework? You mean some of those updates with necromancy that we mentioned? Right, so that was the giveaway, ladies and gentlemen. When we get some patch, you will get a little bit of a information updates when it comes to PTR and more epic launch. Tomorrow is the plan. We are preparing everything. We have a very solid, nice setup of work and schedule, and we want to confirm our hard work we have done the past days based off the PTR. So that's have been extremely helpful. We're excited to get you aboard again to confirm those fixes. So very efficient. Yes, Necro and Spirit need love. Yeah, there are some spells that we commented on that we're gonna update and tweak. I can't say exactly when. We don't want to put too much on the table now when we actually, you know, need to deliver Unreal 5 and all the current stuff stable, solid, polished. Dual weapons will be one of the votable options in the upcoming roadmap. So again, it's all in your hands. If you all have a high interest in some of those specific features and content, you will see them early on the roadmap rather than late. You know, we will let you decide. That is game on Refile looked great. Thank you, Stav team. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Will Archer get a buff? We are keep getting nerfed even on the PTR. What? No, what do you mean? We haven't nerfed. We haven't touched archery on PTR. What do you mean? What are you referring to as a nerf there? What you will get is the special abilities including on archery, just like any other weapon group. So when that focus is happening, archery is also getting that love and updates and options. Goodwill, tomorrow we will do some updates on the current status when it comes to PTR and release and all that. We have a solid, fleshed out plan now. Very thanks to the latest PTR. Thank you guys for that. So there will be a little update tomorrow. We may have a token reset in a very specific way later on. Will archery abilities come same patch as melee? Yes. When we add some of the abilities, we're going to add 2 or 3, most likely, to each weapon group. That includes archery. So all the weapon groups we currently have are going to have 1, 2 to 3 new abilities that are unique to that group. That is pretty awesome. And yeah. Poison arrows and webs. Poisoning comes with the assassination skill pack set. So again, if people want to see that early on, you can cast your vote on that, and that will be, moved up on the prioritized order. Obviously, we can't put everything in the first line of roadmap, so it all depends on popularity, right? If there's an overwhelming high demand for specific things on these lists, we're gonna make those enter the game first. And then, it goes from there, right? So you will have a nice impact on the order of these things. Hope you made the game lighter so that we don't burn through our monitor. So that's why we had one of those questions for the formula or questionnaire if you participate in the PTR, and they're very helpful for us to get feedback, data, and information. As you know, we decided to make the entire world bright enough during nighttime with the 2 bright big moons, so you don't have to gamma hack or crank up the shit to look crazy to see good enough during night times. Some of the challenge here is that everyone had different types of monitor types, different types of technology on the monitors, different types of settings. Some people run around with crazy filters that they toggle on and off. So everything looks quite different on every single gamer setup out there in the world. Which means you will all see the game either a little bit too bright, or a little bit too dark, or a little bit in between, right? So obviously that's a challenge. We are looking into a little bit of those kind of darkness calibration options that you can see in some games where you have to pull this line until you can barely read all the letters. That is a pretty easy way to kind of know that this is where it's meant to be played. So everyone is in this pretty close same average when it comes to darkness, brightness. And that's where we try to aim, where it's bright enough to still be a believable, beautiful, moody night, but still bright enough for you not to touch any filters or gamma, to be able to enjoy and see and fight. And the latest question here, we got the majority think, if I'm not mistaken, that we are on a good spot there, but there's still a portion that would turn up their gamma when they're fighting due to some of these reasons, right? And the other challenge is also the world looks different, right? Some regions may have darker textures, some have brighter, like around Medulla, quite bright, the sand textures, right? Which means a night looks more brighter around Medulla than in the jungle or, in other locations in the world. So it's a little bit of a challenge because we don't want to have thousands of different settings and process zones that change all this because it's not good and it's time consuming and performance and all kind of crap. So we try to find a good middle ground that works worldwide, and hopefully we can find a good setting where most of you guys also have the correct brightness, gamma setup without having to touch it any further and enjoy day and nights, and it looks and feel good without any hurdles. That's the goal, right? And then when it comes to caves and dungeons, undergrounds, underdark, that's when it can become pitch black, where you are dependent on light sources, either magic, gifts, or light sources, right? To see in those. And we have some of those locations in the world, and there will be more of those also, obviously, with the underdark and more dungeons. So that makes sense when it comes to that topic. So with this system in place, we can finally add the support and work for the night visions clade and set those parameters also all based on the different clades. We're not doing that initially because, again, we don't want to overwhelm the team when we have a high prioritized focus on the most important things first. Stability, bugs, performance. That's first, right? And secondary is everything else. But that means we can finally pick and add that work to fully enable the different clade specs for how they see during nighttime and in dungeons, and also obviously allow you to get that boost with the gift finally. Yeah. Rogue build with traps, crossbow, poison, and thievery before wagons and ships. So the assassin thievery, I think, is the same category, and included in those are plan for traps and poisoning. So yeah, that's one kind of profession category that you can go into, which is quite popular. So it's going to be interesting to see how high demand there is for those professions and skills and features. Wagons and ships, obviously, two also very large features. The wagon system we are very much closer to today due to we have functions that are required to make the wagon system thanks to the siege systems. Obviously, there's still work to be done to fully finalize it and implement it, to connect them with the mounts, right, for instance. And that also gives even more support for the ships. So all those features give requirements that allows for the end game feature like ships eventually. But yeah, again, if we see overwhelming majority wanted to have these specific features sooner rather than later, we're gonna create upcoming roadmaps based on that direction, and yeah, you will be part of that. I'm not sure if all fish has been caught. I don't think so. I'm quite unsure because there were a few fishes that were outside of the range where you have to do a perfect reeling phase, and the parameters for the reeling in phase was a little bit out of reach. They mismatched, so it was impossible for some of the fishes, which meant you wouldn't reel in those fish types. I don't recall if that was adjusted so it was possible eventually, so you got to reel in them finally, or if that is still within the spectrum for some fish types. That's something I need to dig deeper into to verify. There's a high chance that those fishes are still a little bit within that spectrum that is extremely hard to, lucky to, impossible to catch. And that's something we're gonna obviously follow up on when it comes to adding more content for fishing, which we also plan in one of the upcoming patches and roadmaps. Thank you, Lufan. Thank you. Will taskmasters be available for player build cities as well? Not initially, but as we said before, there's endless amount of TC expansion we can add to the game. You know, players have suggestions, services, tools, functions that we add in the game that also make sense to offer to player cities. Then we will make that happen over time. But again, that also needs to be planned and prioritized in this long list of exciting features, which is very difficult to choose from. That's why we want your help there. I mean, how much it bends the pole. Yeah, so there's a perfect way of reeling in a fish. You know, if the fish struggle and you just hold, you have lessen strain on the rod, right? And there are fishes with high strength that when they struggle, you have to let go to reduce the strain even further on the rod. And if you don't, it's gonna snap sooner or later. So if you don't play that correctly, let him wear out, get tired, and then as soon as he's tired, now you're reeling it. You need to have that perfect fishing gameplay where it's not enough just to hold. Like many of the fishes do today. They just hold right still when it struggles, and as soon as it stops struggles, you start reeling in, right? That's the standard way. But if you catch one of these fishes that require you to not strain the rod further, because if you only hold, it's gonna snap and you're gonna lose it. So you have to let it go out, and you need to have enough line for it to reel out, or it's gonna snap either way, right? So there's this room for perfect fishing in, reeling in. What I meant is for you to catch these fishes, and if you don't do that correct, you're not gonna catch them. So that it's the more difficult things to catch. We'll try to get Steam front page ad when you start advertising. Yes, we will do rounds of visibility when we do the relaunch of Mortal Online on Unreal 5 on Steam and Epic Games. So there will be more marketing awareness for the game when we have that phase. Absolutely. And you know, we re-invite all those big influencers and streamers. I've been following the game over the years. They've been very excited. Some of them plan to do influence content. We're looking forward to that. And of course, you, the awesome community that already does a lot of cool video screenshots and streaming. Obviously, we're gonna add another level of support to you guys, so you can enjoy doing that even more. So you know, we help each other to make awareness and let the world know about Mortal Online 2, because the majority still don't know about Mortal Online 2, and it's time to change that when we step over to the Unreal 5 release. So together we will make it happen. So these fish are harder to catch than rays. Yeah, I don't know exactly which one these are and the names and all that, and I also obviously don't want to spoil some of these things, but there are some fishes that you absolutely need to let go to be able to wear them out and then reel them in. But like I said, I think we've done one session there, but there's still room for more to make it within the catch threshold when you play it correctly, or you won't ever catch them. That's the thing I need to look into to see the current status. I can't say for sure without looking into it. But yeah, so some of those fishes are in that spectrum. Yeah, we have 3 sets of clothing. We're getting some of it. I can't say exactly all the pieces and gears initially, but we have content ready for upcoming patches, absolutely. You can get a YouTube role in Discord. What do you mean with YouTube role? Do subs start at the same time for all characters, or is it based off when you log that character in? So when you log into your account, that's when your free month starts. After that free month is when a subscription is required to continue login. Will all the hardware be able to get crisp look that still runs well, or are they focused to run the game with those blur settings? So that depends on your hardware, right? As I said, Unreal 5 really pushes the boundaries being a next generation technology, and their target for the latest generations on epic settings is 30 FPS. 30. And on high settings, it's 60 FPS. Keep that in mind when we are talking about people wanting 300 FPS on an old machine running Lumens and next generation technology. We managed to push it extremely far, done a lot of work on optimizing it for older hardware, but obviously there's always a line where you have to, sacrifice all those, high settings if you have older hardware. It's just math, right? How it is. But we're very excited to see what you are getting on this next PTR build, because we've done a lot of work there. So all our hardware absolutely get a nice boost. And that's what I showed in this video, guys. 6-year-old computer running, peaking 160 FPS in TinRem. That's really good. While that computer peaks around 90 on Unreal 4 live. So already better on a 6-year-old computer is very impressive as a baseline. So you guys gonna test it on next PTR to see what you're getting and help us with that data. All right, guys, I'm hitting the 3-hour mark. Trying to run them around 2 hours so we don't get too much loop in here. Hunt Raper, you will see tomorrow we'll do a little updates when it comes to times. Release PTR and such. So wait until tomorrow and you will have a little update, which is clear. All right, guys, let's take a look. Do we have anyone streaming that we should raid today? Let's do our quick classical vote, so you can help me, guys. Let me quickly make a little poll so you can help me. Okay. Quick vote, guys. Who should we raid today? Send it to Kaksuya. Is that a new streamer? Kaksuya. No, I've seen her, right? But maybe I haven't raided Kazuya. Is that correct? I don't. Is she fairly new? Those were some dope capes you showed. Indeed, Cora, indeed. Oops. Yeah, it seems like Kaksuya is in lead already, so... yeah, I should have done 1 minute, but alright, 1 minute left. We don't plan to wipe. The game is persistent released already. The journey have begun, but we are in early state and we have yet to, you know, get far when it comes to a lot of the features that are upcoming, going into the game in the upcoming years. So there's no reason to wipe. You know, new players will show up over time. Every day, every week, there are new players joining game, finding it for the first time ever. The game is persistent. Had last time 5 lines break. I couldn't understand the reason for. When I tested it in the past, it didn't seem like the fish actually tire out. Is that so? Some of those are the things, right, that we need to investigate a little bit to make sure that the really in gameplay works fully as intended and by design. So you can also obviously skillfully catch all those fishes that are meant to be perfect really in. You have to let go and so on. So we will get back on fishing because we have some content ready to go in, and along with that we're gonna look into some of those things. All right, Kaksuya it is, guys. All right. Thank you very much for joining the stream today. Always a pleasure to hang out with you guys and have any conversation, questions and all of that. We appreciate it. And we very much appreciate you helping with PTR because you find a lot of things and you also show a lot of good variation when it comes to hardware playing the game. And that gives us data to see what works good, what doesn't work good, how can we improve it. And that's exactly what we've done in our latest PTR, and you're gonna get back on it to confirm those progression and improvements. So we're gonna update you with information, some of the information tomorrow and also early next week. Thank you very much for joining in and all of your donations, questions and subscription and all of that. We appreciate you guys, and you know, exciting times ahead. All right, let's do the raid. Kaksuya. What the hell am I writing? Right, let's say hello to Kaksuya. I'm not sure. I don't think I raided her before, so let's show some support and see what she's doing in Mortal Line. All right. Have a good night, and I will see you in the next stream. Thank you very much. Here we go. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.